Happy Tuesday. We're back at her again because some new presents came today, ahead of schedule actually. So we're going to get after her tonight and get something done. Kyle got my pinion parts here, so we can work on doing that. Awesome. Good job, Kyle. And then Ed got me my friction material discs here. So this was medium friction clutch and brake lining material, 1/8 inch thick from McMaster-Carr, and he was able to use the water jet where he works and cut out 2 perfect discs out of the 15 by 15 sheet that it comes in. So those should be perfect for in there. So we can put our clutch together now, and then that means we can put our engine in. Exciting. So I think I'll probably focus on that tonight. Maybe that'll be our goal here before we go call it a day, is get the clutch together and see if we can manage to get the engine into the tractor. Might be a little bit of a fight, like I mentioned before. We got to get it through the plate into the pilot bearing, so it'll be a little bit more difficult than the previous times we put the engine in, but I don't think it'll be too terribly bad. We'll find out here. Okay, discs in, all the pressure plate and everything inside of there. I put a couple of drops of oil on all these pivot points here so they work freely. Let's put it together. Okay, clutch is in. Bolts are tight. I didn't bother putting lock washers on because we're eventually going to swap these out for the original thick-headed ones that Dad's making. I'll do that at a later time when they're done. But they're all tight. The adjustments are tight. I will have to put some grease in the throw-up bearing before we actually get to using the tractor, but not sure exactly which type of grease I should put in there at the moment, so I'm just going to not do it for now, but we can get in that through the access door anyway to do that later. Same with swapping the bolts out. We can get in there and swap them out one by one. So yeah, let's rig up our hoist and see if we can lift this engine one last time. Put it in the tractor. Haha, look at that. It's got it in there. So what I did was I put some long bolts through as kind of pilots, did 4 of them, 2 on each side. So you know you're pretty much lined up. And we got close, and Lawrence has happened to be out here, so he actually just wiggled the belt pulley back and forth a little bit, which is connected directly to that output shaft to get the splines on that lined up with the disc in the clutch. Well, I put a little bit of pressure going this way on the engine and kind of wiggled it, and it slid right into place. Then a little bit more wiggling to get the pilot bearing started, and it went the rest of the way. So it went a lot easier than I thought it would. So now I'm just in the process of putting the bolts in. I'm going to do the old oversized washer with a couple of O-rings on it, so it looks more like those original ribbed lock washers. So I'll get that all together and I'll show you what I got. Sigh, and we're back out again. So I was putting it in, finishing up the bolts, and Dad called to see how things were going, right? And I told him what I was up to, put the engine in, and he commented, "Oh, did you all the spline lined up and all that? You know, good. You know, did you put a little finger full of grease on that spline before you put it together?" No. So after thinking about it a couple minutes, I figured I probably should. You know, I just put it together dry. It probably would have been fine because eventually it would have gotten some lube out from the transmission. But I'd feel better now if I put, you know, just a finger full of grease on that spline now, so we know that that clutch disc slides smoothly in and out. So, okay, we're going to do that and put her back together again. Everything's lined up now. Hopefully, maybe it'll go right back together if I don't turn anything. Okay, engine's back in and clutch fork is put back together and bolt back in. I think you can probably see it up in there. Real treat to reach in there and tighten that up, but it isn't the worst thing in the world. But yeah, now the engine hopefully is in for the final time. I knew I probably jinxed myself when I was talking about being the last time. It really wasn't, but yeah. Hopefully it is now. A little finger full of grease on that spline, so we should be good. Yeah, guess I can take my engine lift off now. Am I confident enough that we shouldn't have to take it back out to take that off? Welcome back. Got a new delivery again today. David Dickmeyer's package showed up with his original steering casting for me to borrow, and the little breather cap. So that's what I've been working on tonight after work. I got the casting mounted on the tractor. I got the steering box put back on the tractor. I think I got it timed the way I want it, at least for now, as far as the spinner knob. Going straight, best I can tell, without actually driving the tractor. It's going to be somewhere between 3 and 1, somewhere in that vicinity. So I think that's should be a comfortable spot to, unless maybe 12 o'clock would be a good spot too. I don't know. For now, we'll try this. Gotta get the tractor going before we can find that out, right? I'm starting to realize why some people say that this tractor is awkward to operate, and for the longest time I was blowing them off like, oh, come on, that's fun, look at that cool thing, you're bouncing on the back, and that is cool, it's a pretty comfortable seat, but the controls on this thing are kind of stupid, not gonna lie. So I got all the linkages hooked up on that end too, and finally mocked up all the linkages on this end, and of course they're all wore out and loose and they need to be completely reworked, but just to see how things worked. And so this is your shifting lever. Right now we're in neutral. That would be forward. It's opposite of what you think. Back is forward and forward is back. So neutral again, and that would be backwards. You would think they would have designed it the other way, because most of the time you're going forward, right, and have that lever up out of the way, but no. It's going to be back here, right, knuckle busting. I can see now why this is all wore out here. It's from hitting the steering wheel. Kind of a dumb design. And then you go to the clutch side, same story, all worn out there. Because that's clutch is engaged, right? You go to disengage the clutch, you pull it back. What's it do? It's going to hit the steering wheel. That's a stupid design too. What were they thinking? I can see why they changed that. The later tractors have cast arms that kind of go out to the side farther, and I suppose that's why. So it actually clears the steering wheel. That was a major oversight on their part. Can't believe they put it into production this way, but I guess that's the way it is, and that kind of makes sense why the two levers don't match, the bends don't match, because this one, I suppose this one's bent more, but it makes sense because it's got to clear the steering wheel a little bit more. At least that's the way it seems right now. We'll have to go and put all new bushings and pins and weld up the holes probably and ream them out to try to tighten everything up. Same with the throttle control lever here. That's not hooked up yet, but there's nothing besides the hole. There's no bracket originally to hold this from sliding back and forth. I guess they kind of got it designed so it can't go that way because it'll hit the casting, and it can't go that way because it hits the steering rod. But there again, talk about kind of rinky-dink. I can see why some guys, they put a flat strap on this side of the casting to kind of just hold it onto the casting. So, yeah, we got a lot more work ahead of us getting all this stuff figured out, but it seems to, at least there again, at least without it running or anything, the detent for the shifting lever seems to work good. Once you have your lever, it shifts easily, and you can clearly feel, well, there's slop in the linkage here, but you can clearly feel the detents of the different gears. So I think we got that part of it right. Well, I think I'm going to call it a night. It's 9 o'clock and time for bed. I'll probably see you guys again tomorrow night. We're going to keep plugging away at this if we want to get her done. What I've been thinking about here lately, let's see if I can climb off this tractor with one hand and not hurt myself. What I've been thinking about here, I might change my original plan of saying that I would do all the rest of the green, one more batch. I've been thinking here lately, I think I might do just the engine stuff first, like maybe even this coming weekend if things go really good and if I can get everything ready and the weather cooperates. But at least that way, if I get the engine stuff done, basically all the stuff that I need for the engine, the intake manifold and the governor and the magneto bracket and the engine itself, fan assembly, pretty much just that for now. Because then if I have that all painted, I can continue with some assembly. I can put all this stuff on for good, and I can figure out my magneto timing for good, and I can start putting my manifolds back on for good, and all that kind of stuff. Where if I wait to paint everything, I can't really do any of that at this point without putting it together, testing it, and then tearing it all back down for paint, ultimately having to put it together again, creating more work for myself. So I'm going to think about it here some more and watch the weather, but there's a chance we might do some more painting here in the very near future. So yeah, that's what I know for now. It looks kind of cool getting all the steering and linkages and levers back on, because some of that wasn't even on the tractor either when I got it. The steering was off, and a lot of the linkages were just kind of dangling on there, not really connected the way they should be. So yeah, I'll see you guys probably tomorrow. Okay, it's Thursday. After supper tonight, I did a little sandblasting. Got my exhaust pipe all cleaned up. So that whole exhaust system is pretty much ready for some high temperature paint now. We got the top water neck sandblasted. Here's the little breather cap that David Dickmeyer found for me. So that saves a lot of effort of trying to find or make one, because that's the correct one. The linkage for the governor, the bolts for the 4 mystery holes on the rear engine plate. These are the studs for the float oil level gauge. Got that cleaned up as well. So yeah, we got a bunch of stuff ready there. And I got to thinking last night after I got home and texting with a friend with the whole clutch handle going back too far issue, hitting the steering wheel, and realized that we're wrong. Anybody else realize my mistake? Are you yelling at the screen what I forgot? Anybody remember? We got to go inside this cover. That's a hint. Is it coming back to you? If you've been following this for a while, you know where I'm going with this. Remember what that bolt does? That's the brake band. we didn't hook up the brake band yet because we had that linkage out, so I hadn't hooked up the pin in the end and the inside there yet on the end of that shaft. And that's tied in with the clutch. So once that's on and adjusted, the brake band will engage and the lever won't go back that far, I think. So yeah, I felt pretty dumb last night. So we'll have to get in there and do that here one of these days too and hook that up. But like I said, I'm kind of trying to focus on engine stuff here, so maybe I'll putz with that a little bit here tonight now. It's about 8:45. I figure I'll work a little bit later here, and then we'll come out again tomorrow and continue. I better quit while I'm ahead. It's after 10 o'clock, time for bed. But I got the gasket cut for this, manifold on, studs sealed. So that's good to go. It's going to have to come back off eventually when we get the correct one, but for now, that's good, at least to get the engine running. I got the cap rivet tightened up, so that's good to go. I got the working on fitting the oil level here. I actually got the studs in here and sealed up into the pan. Working on fitting the oil line here, because that's very important that fit properly. There can't be any stress on that line, because these oil pumps are pot metal and super, emphasize that, super fragile. And I do not want to break that, because they're basically made out of unobtainium. I was very fortunate that Norm had one for me, because I actually broke the one that came with this tractor when I was trying to disassemble it, and that was completely my bad. Learned my mistake big time on that one. So I do not want to break this one, so I'm going to spend my time, make sure this oil line fits up properly. What else did I do? I think that's about it. Doesn't sound like much, but these things take time, so. All right. See you guys tomorrow. Happy Friday. We're back at her again. So this evening, I got the oil level gauge all figured out, tuned up. New gasket cut for behind. Tuned up the gasket here for that. Dry fit it all together with the oil pipe. Got that fitting very well now. So that's basically all ready to, I'm going to take this assembly off the engine again for paint. I think I'll probably leave the tube on this, break this joint here apart, and then I can hang that assembly up and paint it. And that way I can get paint back behind, otherwise I would never get the gun back in there. Did a little cleanup on the JB Weld on their mag bracket, so that's good to go. Working on test fit stuff here now, because we got the coupler back from the machine shop today, so we can test fit the mag, make sure that still all works. I got the end put back on the governor, because I had given that to the machine shop so they could fit the coupling. I still have to pull the head off, clean threads on the studs here to get the holes for the studs rather, so I can get the studs all preferably a uniform height for cosmetic reasons, so they're all sticking up the same. And while the head is off, I will put it back to top dead center again. I'll probably make a mark on the actual front pulley for future reference, and then I'll make some marks inside the clutch housing now that is all together. Put some top dead center marks in there where I can actually see them for future reference. So, like I said, we're still on track to possibly do some painting on Sunday, depending on if I can get everything ready tomorrow, Saturday. And then if the weather holds out. As of right now, the temperature is looking pretty good, like a high 77. but it's going to be a little on the windy side, so we'll have to see if it cooperates or not. I think I'll do a little bit more here tonight because we got a lot to do, and I don't want to leave it all for tomorrow, so I'll probably check back with you guys a little bit later. Okay, almost 11 o'clock. I should probably call it a night. I got the mag mount all fit then, and the mag on there with the coupler. It seems to be lining up right, so I think we're okay there. No idea if it's timed actually right. I just put it on there. Took the head off so I could confirm top dead center. I made a little witness mark on the top of the front pulley for future reference. And I made a paint pen mark. I can't see it in there, too dark, but there's a paint pen mark in there on the flywheel for future reference. So we should be able to locate top dead center again if we need to. Yeah, we're gonna come out in the morning and hopefully finalize our studs and get all that torqued down for the final time. And the engine will be pretty much ready for paint, I believe. I don't think we're forgetting anything. Nothing major, at least, besides normal prep and masking and whatnot. So yeah, I'm gonna call it a night. See you guys in the morning. Okay, it's getting to be later Saturday afternoon. I've been at her all day here, just scrambling to get things ready for paint tomorrow if the weather cooperates. There's a chance of rain and there's a chance the wind might be blowing, but if it isn't, we're painting. So, what did I do today? I got a bunch of stuff ready, prepped for paint, fan assembly, governor, mag arm, spark plug wire, more fan, oil level, mag, fan blade, all ready for paint. We got some miscellaneous bolts over here. We got the pinion drives there. We got the oil cap. We're gonna make up a few little sample for color samples for future. Motor is just about ready here. I gotta do a little final wipe down. Got things masked off that need to be masked off. I ended up cleaning up these valve side covers. The way that the original size was didn't fit with this particular casting, so they had taken kind of crudely cut it and ground it to shape. So I took and straight lined it so it looks a lot better. Than I actually took some off of this one too to make them match. So those are ready to go. Took the pulley off and that's all ready to go. I just got done torquing down the head. I changed a few studs. These three front ones were longer than the rest because the bracket that came on this power unit engine used those studs for mounting bracket for the fan instead of this front cover. And there was one long one here that there was something mounted on. So the one that was actually a longer stud I cut off. The other ones I just I took the tap, or die rather, and put a couple more threads on the bottom so they could thread it in the block just a little bit farther. And put a couple of drops of oil on each one, put the nuts on, torqued them all down to 50 foot-pounds, which is what Norm recommended. I talked to him this morning. Torqued them down in about 4 intervals, 25, 35, 40, and then 50 or something like that, with just the kind of generic start from the middle and work your way out pattern, because there is no torque pattern for these engines to my knowledge. And even if there is, it's not like we're building high-powered racing engines here. I mean, as long as they're all torqued uniformly, I think we'll be good. So hopefully we'll never have to take that apart again. Once we get the engine running and up to temp and then let it cool off, we'll have to re-torque all the head bolts like you would with any other head gasket. And just for future note, we did put this in head gasket in dry because that's what they recommend, I guess. No sealant or anything on it. So cross your fingers that all works out well. So basically all we have left to do is mask off the rest of the tractor. I think what I'll do is lay down some of my rubber belting on the floor and out into the gravel in the morning, and we'll roll the tractor out on that so we try not to scuff up the wheels. I'm going to try, I don't know if it'll happen or not, maybe to get the radiator ready for paint as well. The shroud will not be ready at this point because I still have to do that inner lip, and I haven't even, we don't have time for that to paint tomorrow. I kind of hesitate to even paint the radiator yet because I haven't drilled the holes here for the hood yet, but I guess we could do that after paint as long as I'm careful. So we'll see. If I get it done in time, we'll paint that. If not, we'll get that next batch. It wouldn't be the end of the world if we don't paint that. I want to get all this engine stuff done basically so I can continue with assembly. So yeah, I'm going to keep pecking away at her here and getting things ready, and I'll check back with you guys later. Okay, we're pretty well all set up for the morning for paint. Ready for operation here, looks like. Everything is sanitary, clean, and masked off. So we can roll it out in the morning. I'll put some boards along the bottom of the plastic to basically keep any overspray off of the already painted tractor. And we should be good to go. Like I said, I think I showed all this earlier, got all the parts ready. I decided I'm not going to do the radiator this batch. I don't want to rush it. It's not ready. I want to spend some time to make sure it's good and clean. Maybe straighten out a few more of the fins in the core. It'd be nice, like I said, to get all those holes drilled. I still got to drill a hole in the radiator cap. I'm not ready yet. The whole point of this restoration was to do it right, to not be in a hurry and cut corners, so I'm not going to cut corners. It's just, I will get that next batch. We'll just focus on all this engine stuff this time around, and that'll be a huge step in the right direction again, because, like I said, get this, assuming the weather cooperates tomorrow, we get this painted this coming week. After work, I can come out and start final assembling all the engine stuff. And then if things really come together here nicely, there's a chance, even by next weekend, we'd be getting dangerously close to being able to fire this thing up. I don't think we're really missing anything at this point. It's just a matter of a lot of little final details and time. Or at the very least, even if it doesn't happen next weekend, possibly the weekend after. So, I mean, we're getting close. So, I will see you guys in the morning. Rain, go away. It was sprinkling a little this morning, and there's a couple of spits coming down now. It's supposed to clear off here in about a good hour or so. By lunch, you should be all right. So, it's kind of a waiting game now. What a difference in a couple hours makes. I went back home, mowed the lawn, and by then the skies had cleared, so I came back out, got the tractor pushed outside, all masked off, get everything else hung up here, ready to go. So I'm gonna go mix up some primer. A little bit breezy, but we can deal with that, I guess. Okay, one coat of primer on. Looking good. It's very satisfying. Make everything the same color after all this work. So I'm gonna go mix up a little more primer and give her a second shot. 2 coats of primer. So I got clean up my gun. We'll get a quick bite to eat while this stuff is drying in the sun. And then you know the routine. We'll mix up some green. Suppose this is getting boring for you guys. It's exciting to me. There we go, 2 shots of green on everything. We got her unmasked, just about ready to put her back in the shop. We had to take a little video of it out in the sun because, oh, does it look nice. Well, parts turned out well. Very exciting. This should be a pretty fun week. Putting all this back together. And everything's inside safely for the night. Yeah, getting pretty excited. It's starting to look like something. Really happy with how the different batches of paint all blend together flawlessly. The colors and shine and everything look exactly the same. The end is in sight. Things are going good, almost a little too good. Makes me worry a little bit, but hopefully this is just our payoff for all this month's worth of effort. Now we can start doing all the fun little bits, you know, putting the spark plug wires and spark plugs and gas line and carburetor, all the pretty little bits that really make it look like a tractor. Yeah, that's probably it for this week. Been a long week. It's going to be another long week. I'm sure I'll be out here again in the evenings after work. So if you haven't hit the old subscribe button, consider doing that. At least it'll notify you when more videos come out. I try to put them out once a week. Appreciate everybody watching, and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. See you next week. Later.